devil just happened here? Oh boy. Anywho. Do. I don't know who's on and who's not. I'll just give it the best that I've got. La da 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 da. So, good morning if you're in the eastern part of the world, and good evening if you're in the western part of the world. Don't really know. But here we go.
Welcome. Just hear my heart for a second, man. I wanna reach the lost, but if the lost think they got the cross, and everybody got Christ, then I guess nobody is lost. Welcome. Yo, if everybody following Jesus, man, then I guess we all saved. Hey, but this can't be true, man. When everybody screaming Jesus, hold it down. Yo. Welcome.
Yeah, I don't need to hear that twice. So, this is the second live stream. I had more energy earlier. Right now, I'm just kind of dragging. But I was able to yesterday, I guess a reconciliation of sorts with a couple of friends I had from my old channel, which was actually, it was good to talk to. Violet Witch, I hadn't talked to her in quite some time. It was almost like we, I don't even know how to describe it. I think I just got frustrated with the whole negativity that was going on in that community, so I just had to leave it alone. And I also got to talk to a couple of other wonderful people. Irish Jazz, who it was good to talk to her, and Lawrence. That was amazing. We actually had a little prayer session this morning, which is always good. I do have a video that I made. I'll talk about that in a little bit. One of the things that I think bothers me is that it's been a year since I was doing any live streams on YouTube. And over the course of that year, where I was, it wasn't logistically possible that I could do it because their Wi-Fi infrastructure is, for lack of a better term, garbage. And so I just left it alone and focused on other things. But to come back and then, a number of people, were chatting with me online, social media, and they were telling me things that were going on within the community I was once a part of. And it was kind of, I guess it was sad because it was all misery. It was all negative. It was fueled by hatred. It just wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. And it bothered me that, where I am now from where I was a year ago, I've, made a lot of progress, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I'm much stronger now, surprisingly, after what I had to endure when I first got here. But I kept my faith in Christ, and that enabled me to overcome certain things. And when I hear about the other things that happen with the other people I once called friends, it was just really sad. And I do want to address one of the things that I did here. I don't abuse animals. My dog Cayenne is still very much alive. In case anybody didn't know, when I left Philadelphia, I was supposed to take a flight from Philadelphia to Los Angeles and then a flight from Los Angeles to Manila, which was supposed to be in all total a 21-hour trip, not counting the layovers, which were like, I think, a total of an hour here and there. But because of unknown documentation that I needed, not for me, but for Cayenne, I couldn't go. And it took some time to get that done. It took all total of about, I want to say 6 weeks. and I was doing some live streams from Los Angeles. And Terry, actually, not Terry, Teresa, let me get the name right. She was actually very instrumental in helping me get the paperwork cleared that I needed to get over here. But my dog's not dead. I don't know if you can hear her. She's squawking outside my door right now because she wants to come in. But if I let her come in, if she sees a dog through a window, she'll want to attack the dog in a playful manner. The lies that people tell, I think, are a distraction from the misery that's their own lives. I mean, for it just seems wicked how people want to say the things that they say or do the things that they do, all the while they're smiling in your face. It's unhealthy, and for a person to, with no basis in reality, to accuse another person of such a heinous crime as animal abuse or any type of abuse, it's a sign of mental illness. And I suffer from mental illness. I shouldn't say suffer anymore. I deal with my mental illness. I've owned it for a while now. And because I own it, I'm better able to manage my mental illness. It's not a situation where I'm in denial about it, because to be in denial about it, I'm only hurting myself more. So I just wanted to say that to those people that are not in a good space mentally and emotionally. I pray for you. I know there's probably a lot of people out there in the I guess you call it the anti community. I don't even know what the community is called anymore. But for those people that I used to deal with on a regular basis on YouTube, to those I had feuds with, to those I may have joked about, I have no ill will towards any of you. If you feel negativity towards me or hatred towards me or loathing towards me, if you'd like to discuss it, we can. If you'd rather just stay in your hatred, you can do that also. I would pray that you don't, because from my own personal experience, holding on to that negative energy doesn't do anything to the person you hate. It only destroys you. And that's the sad part about it. It destroys you. It doesn't destroy the person you're hating. So, that being said, yesterday, I took Cayenne out to the park for the first time since we moved to the new island. I'm in Mindanao, which is the southernmost island, and I'm in the province of Bukidnon. It's a wonderful place. I mean, I've enjoyed every moment I've been here. Well, no, that's not true, because the movers that moved our stuff from the first island I moved to, it took them 2 weeks to get here. So while the situation in Mindanao, life wise, was okay, I didn't have any of my things. That was a little frustrating, but that's all over with. Anyway, Cayenne is still adjusting to the weather, I guess. And so when went to the park, she kind of got overstimulated and got sick and threw up, and she even pooped in the cab twice. One thing I have to remark about, though, is that it was definitely different. The people here were much more tolerant and understanding than they would have been had I been, in America. I know that without question. The people here, I was surprised at how understanding they were. And everybody here has been exceptionally nice, like very nice, which is most appreciated. So I do have a video, like I said, that I'm going to make. Well, I actually made it. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is strange. I'm doing live streams without any marijuana. I didn't know that was possible, but apparently it is. Um, you got to forgive me. I'm bouncing all over the place. It's still early. It's Saturday morning here, in case anybody was wondering. The YouTube drama in the micro channel community, I'm still trying to understand why there's YouTube drama in the micro communities, like the micro channels, I should say. Everybody's working to, I guess, get their subscriptions, not their subscription, their subscriber counts up. They're looking for monetization, but at what cost? I never understood that cycle where you'd have different channels talking trash about each other, and then they would join forces to attack another channel. And then they would have their own inner conflict, and then the channel that they were attacking, one channel then becomes aligned with them. It doesn't make a whole heap of sense to me. It's just like this vicious cycle of negativity. I mean, how many of those people in the micro channels are honest about what they're doing, about who they are, about what they're saying? It's not very many. One of the things I never did on any of my live streams or any of my videos was lie. I had no reason to. If I had an issue with a person, I told that person I had an issue with them. And then you had people that would join up against that person as if I was the big bad wolf, which I'm really not. But one thing that I was dead serious about when I decided to start a channel was that I'm not going to feed into that negativity the way I did before. I just don't feel the need to do it. I was talking with Freedom through text, and I remember talking to her last year, and she said she was kind of moving away from the social media because of all of the negativity, and she was right. It was just it's too much. I mean, we have global warming going on right now. You got conflicts between countries, Russia against Ukraine, China against everybody. It- Why is everybody running around just spreading hatred? It's not good. You know, like I said, I don't have any animosity towards those that try to destroy me. I have to forgive them because that's what God wants us to do. And if I want God to continue forgiving me, I have to forgive other people just like He tells us to. It's I've learned to be more conscious of having humility than I was before. I mean, honestly, I fed into the hype and the frenzy when I would curse somebody out or tell them off. Yeah, it was go, 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 go. And, then you get like all of the commentary either from people that supported what you were saying at that time or people that were defending the person you were saying it against. But that was for my ego. I can't really say there was any pride in, those commentaries where I was attacking people. And it wasn't necessarily I went after people. I went after two people. Both times it was unprovoked on their part. I just decided I was going to step in here and show my skills. And I was wrong. It was very wrong. And it's not something that, I look back on and say it was a good thing I did that. But there were other times where I stood up for what I thought was right and did it in a more mature fashion. And those times I think, I did the right thing. Speaking of which, the video that I'm going to show, I guess in a few minutes, and then I'll talk about that video, has to do with our cancel culture in our society, which is beyond ridiculous. Uh, I guess the most latest situation involved Colleen Ballinger, who I tried to watch that Miranda Sings, whatever it's called, that Miranda thingamajig, that show. back on Netflix when I first saw it, just to give it a try and see what it was about. But I couldn't get into it. It was just too weird to me. Like it made absolutely no sense. Little did I know it was catered towards a much younger audience, and perhaps that was why. But I just felt the character was over the top. That's neither here nor there. If those that have been following the trending videos on YouTube, there was a lot of Miranda, well, not Miranda Sings per se, but the person behind Miranda Sings, Colleen Ballinger, and her questionable methods of what she was doing, I guess is the best way to put it. There's allegations about her grooming children. There's allegations about her, not being nice to her staff. There's allegations of her having her fans or stands bully other commentators that spoke out against her. There's a number of allegations going on. And, you listen to it. I never paid attention to her before. And you get information from, the different videos. You have to use your own mind to factor in, what may have happened and what didn't. It's open to interpretation on certain instances, even though most people provided receipts. Now, I did follow Adam McIntyre in 2020 when he made his video called Colleen Ballinger Stop Lying. And I felt really bad for this kid. I believed everything he said. And it turned out everything he said was pretty true. I thought him having that, I guess, cathartic moment where he expressed, his hurt that he felt from who he really admired. And I guess you could say he loved her. I could feel that. What I didn't know, because I didn't, stay on top of anything like that, was that he was being harassed after he made his video. I just did not think he would face harassment for what he said, considering the fact that everything pointed to him telling the truth. But I was wrong. And then more people started coming out about their experiences with Colleen Ballinger. And then the rumors about her being two-faced and sending naked photos to her underage fans of Trisha Paytas, which, yeah, I've seen Trisha Paytas naked. I don't know. If she stopped talking, she'd be okay. All right, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, it was like you were saying many different negative sides of one person, and I'm speaking about Colleen Ballinger. But again, that it's not really for me to jump into and speculate on or offer an opinion. I really don't have one. She did some things that were at the very least questionable. At the very worst, they were disappointing, disgusting, however you want to call it. But like many things, I think it was open to interpretation. I will say this: when they were talking about Colleen Ballinger making racist videos where she is pretending to be Latina and she's got on over the top makeup and she has a Latina accent, that was a comedy of the time. And if we're gonna make people be held accountable for prior bad acts, then we need to do it across the board. I mean, and I'm talking specifically about American culture right now. It's not okay that, you look at some people and say, you need to say you're sorry for that. Nobody's, holding George. Oh, hold on. We have an announcement truck coming down the street. Yeah, welcome to the Philippines, you guys. Anyway, I mean, nobody's talking about the fact that, President Thomas Jefferson was a serial rapist. And I say that to say this: he had children with his slave, Sally Hemings, which, because of the spin doctrine that went on in American society, they want to portray it as a love story. She was a slave. During that time, slavery Black slaves were considered 3/5 of a human being. They were considered property like cattle. If she couldn't consent to whether or not she would be his slave, she couldn't consent to whether or not she would have sex with this man, which means it was rape. Just like a prisoner can't consent to having sex with a prison guard, it's illegal. But nobody's going back and saying, tear down the Thomas Jefferson Monument and take his face off of the $2 bill. And I'm not saying they necessarily have to. But if that's what it was then, we just have to make sure it's no longer happening now. That's the correction. I think in a lot of cases on YouTube with the cancel culture, they're more concerned about exposing what somebody may have done that they no longer do and embarrass and shame them, even if that's not who they are anymore. I mean, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. Definitely not the same person I was 20 years ago. So for you to come at me and actually be nasty and hateful towards me for something I did like 20 years ago, and you clearly know that's not something I would ever consent to doing now, I just think it's wrong. But one of the videos I saw about Colleen Ballinger, which is why I called it the cancel culture overkill, was from a YouTuber who has a moderate level of success. She's not a mega YouTuber. She's got about 26,000 followers or subscribers. Radiiantbritt, who I used to watch when I was into the whole anti-KJ phenomena, and usually what Britt said I listened to, and I agreed with most of what she said. I enjoyed listening to her talk. But in this one particular time, when she's talking about Colleen Ballinger, I just think she kind of went too deep. I think she went too far, I guess is the best way to put it. I didn't really believe the authenticity of her outrage. I guess I should put it that way. It came off more for like the sensationalism of trying to, I don't know, get on a soapbox and preach. That's what it felt like to me. And I said this to her in the comment section of the video she made about Colleen Ballinger's national tour being canceled. And it went without response, which made me think, okay, you're ignoring me now. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't, I don't know. But she did something in that video that rubbed me the wrong way, and I felt it was a misappropriation. I think it was exploitation of not Colleen Ballinger herself, but of the racial disparities that are in the United States of America and throughout the world. I'll be totally honest. So you guys get the world premiere of said video. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to play it right now. If you want to discuss Colleen Ballinger's very questionable skits involving children, knock yourself out. If you want to talk about Colleen Ballinger being two-faced, go ahead. If you want to talk about Colleen Ballinger allegedly grooming children, I have nothing to say to stop that. If you want to speak to the allegations that she used her very young fans to go after commentators who spoke out against her, I agree with you. It's not okay. So this takes us to Radiiantbritt speaking about the allegations made against Colleen Ballinger.
Here's another clip that was just uncovered 11 hours ago of Colleen being racist again. Here she is cosplaying as an Asian woman. She spits on Rachel, who is doing the interview for this, quote, skit that she did. And she's mocking Asian people.
Have you heard the good news today? That Jesus has risen from the dead?
Oh my goodness, the good news!
add that to the list. And y'all who try to say, oh, that's not how Colleen is. The proof is constant. It is literally stacking up against her. Stop ignoring it.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
If you look above the arrow, you will see 3 racist pieces of memorabilia hanging on the wall and shelf behind Radiiantbritt. The Washington Redskins, the most historically racist team in NFL history. The original owner of the Washington Redskins, Mr. George P. Marshall, who was openly racist, at one time had a gentleman's agreement with other NFL owners to keep the league from integrating black players. This unofficial agreement, however, was broken in 1946 by the Los Angeles Rams and Cleveland Browns. As other teams began to integrate black players into their teams, it wasn't until President Kennedy threatened to ban the team from playing home games in Washington Stadium, which was later renamed RFK Stadium, from playing there unless they integrated black players. RFK Stadium was built on federal land. The Washington Redskins were the last team in the NFL to integrate its team. So when you talk about somebody being racist while proudly displaying racist memorabilia in your home, well, I can't really go for that.
Great. Can you describe the perpetrator to me, ma'am?
Yo, he looked like a man.
Okay, he was a man.
Yo,
Okay,
everything I tell you I saw.
good.
So when you talk about somebody being racist while proudly displaying racist memorabilia in your home right behind you, while you pile on the condemnation of cancel culture, I can't sit back and say nothing. Imagine a church pastor preaching about abstinence while a used condom is hanging out of his pocket. I'm going to guess that Radiiantbritt was not aware of the historical facts surrounding the Washington Redskins. However, I am also fairly certain that she has been aware of the controversy surrounding the team name being Redskins, a name that was only changed after the George Floyd murder in 2020, and also in part the threat of economic sanctions against the team. I find it annoying when white people who cannot possibly understand the impact systemic racism and racial tropes continue to have on classifications of people whose genealogical roots do not originate from Europe. I also take umbrage with people who manipulate racial outrage to validate an argument. I mean, what's the reason for the banner and helmet, Britt? Let me guess. You don't agree with the name, but you support the team? Or maybe it was a different time back then. I didn't make this video as a jump off. I commented to this very video Radiiantbritt made, and perhaps she was too busy making a new video to notice my comment. However, she did respond to other comments on that video that were made well after I made my comments. To be clear, I don't have any reason to believe that Radiiantbritt is racist. Because America is a society of systemic racism, the line is sometimes unseen by those who have no designs at all to offend people of color and ethnic ideologies. The European settlers that came to America abandoned their own culture and sought to destroy those who wanted to maintain their culture. The indigenous tribes, the African slaves, the Chinese, the Mexicans. None of this was done by accident, it was all done by design. Honestly, with everything that's been said about Colleen Ballinger as far back as Adam McIntyre in 2020, there was no need to talk about a video that was dredged up from yesteryear to further make a point. One could easily argue, honestly, that it was a satire of the white man's burden being done in a comedic fashion. Radiiantbritt commenting about Colleen Ballinger allegedly being racist, I didn't see that as actual outrage. I saw it as piling on the cancellation of Colleen Ballinger. I'm not going to question her motive for airing the video, but I do question the judgment she used to think it was necessary to put it there. I honestly think Radiiantbritt was caught up in the sensation of cancel Colleen Ballinger phenomenon, which probably must have made Illuminati breathe a sigh of relief. Okay, so that was my 2 cents for Radiiantbritt's video. Anywho, one interesting thing did happen. Let me see if I can make this a short story. For those that know, me and Jane broke up almost immediately when I first came to Manila because she is a liar, a scammer, and a whore. And she left me sick alone in a hotel room to go have sex with her ex. Which, before I came to the Philippines, I had gotten a message from Jane's ex's current girlfriend letting me know that while Jane was supposed to be in Manila helping me get Cayenne's documentation done and was supposed to be waiting for me so we could get married and have a family, she was out with this guy. Anyway, I wasn't nice to the woman. Her name was, I won't say, but I wasn't nice to her in my response to it. I thought she was just some jealous Filipina who was trying to destroy something. I didn't know if there was a high school rivalry that carried over the years between her and Jane. So I wasn't nice. Anyway, when I found out she was actually telling me the truth, I did reach out and I found her on social media, contacted her, let her know that, yeah, you were right. I was wrong. And I apologized for how I had spoken to her, which she said she understood. And she just, understood what it was like to have, somebody be unfaithful. And that's why she reached out to me because she knew I didn't know. So over the course of, I guess, like 6 months or so, we became friends, actually friends on social media. We started talking. We talked more frequently since I arrived to Mindanao. And, we talked about different things. She's an OFW, which stands for Overseas Filipino Worker. But in Jane's situation, OFW stood for Overseas Filipino Whore. And I say that in all sincerity. Um, what I thought was a friendship that formed out of the ashes of two failed relationships. Uh, Something really kind of strange happened. And the best way I could say. So, this woman was still talking to Jane, which I didn't understand. Like, I wouldn't be friends with the man that broke up my relationship with me and the woman I was with for 3 years. But that's just me. I'm still learning this culture here. So I thought maybe that's just how they are in the Philippines. But no, it's not. Anyway, I found out that this person who I thought was a new friend was telling Jane my business. Now, mind you, I haven't had any contact with Jane since I want to say May of 2022. And I got here in April of 2022. I blocked her on all social media. I blocked her emails. She went back to the guy that she slept with behind my back. Apparently, he knew about me. I never knew about him. But they wound up breaking up. He dumped her for another OFW in another country that was, I guess, making more money than she was. But this was after Jane purchased him a motorcycle. And then all of a sudden, Jane starts contacting me to say, please take me back. Like, her emails show up in my spam folder, which I have to clean out. And that's where I see all of these emails saying, please wait for me. And it's like, no, like, no. And I mean this 100%. The only one that can love a whore is Jesus Christ himself. And I'm not Jesus Christ. I don't have any hatred towards Jane. I don't carry any ill will towards her. I don't wish her any harm. But I just wish she'd leave me alone like I've left her alone. I didn't leave her. She left me. You know, And not only that, but then she wanted people to think that I was abusive, and I'm not. And, you know, the money that I invested in having a house built, it's just money. I've never been motivated by money to do things. I've taken pay cuts in my career because I wanted to do the work more so than get money off of it. And considering that most of the jobs that I've had in my life involved helping other people, I don't think you should profit off of helping people. I think that should come from within your heart. And that's just how I've always been. Even before I found salvation through Christ, I've always felt that way. But I have integrity. So I'm going to assume she doesn't. But back to the part of the story. I found out that this woman was sharing like the text exchanges that I had with her with Jane. And when I found that out, I asked her, and she admitted to it. And she just could not understand why it bothered me, which you should understand why that would bother somebody. Here's a couple of things that I thought about. Maybe she told Jane to make Jane jealous, which I don't approve of, but I can kind of see something like that happening. I'm gonna be honest. I was tempted to, maybe kind of through like the grapevine let Jane know that I was friends with her ex's ex girlfriend. But it wasn't worth it to me. Like, I don't want any parts of her. So I'm not gonna do anything that I hope gets back there. I don't want anything to do with her. She's wicked. I mean, God did everything he could to show me that she's wicked. So I'm not stupid. Like, she showed me who she is. There's no reason to ever think she's going to change without her finding salvation. And that's not where her mind is right now. So, anyway, I had to explain to this friend that, you're dangerous because you did something that, A, you shouldn't have done. B, you can't really explain why you did it. And C, it was just stupid. And I don't really have a high tolerance for stupidity. So I blocked her. And now she can't understand why I guess I blocked her. She thinks I'm angry with her, but I'm not angry. I'm just kind of disappointed. But you did what you did. I got nothing to do with it anymore. I'm done. If you're going to be friends with her, I wouldn't stop her from being friends with whomever, but I never should have came up in that conversation. And the fact that I did come up in that conversation shows me the type of person that she is, which in hindsight, if this guy was able to have her and Jane, they have similar traits, which he manipulated and exploited. And I didn't think like that at the time. I mean, I don't consider myself a weak minded person, and I don't consider myself to be stupid. And I got duped by Jane. I guess the difference is I'm never going to put myself in that position to let that happen again. And I learned from my mistakes, and this woman apparently didn't. And like I said, it was disappointing, but life goes on. You know, narcissism, some people are born narcissists, other people become narcissists due to circumstances of outside influences or what have you. One of the things I've learned or come to learn over the past 4 years, most of my relationships involve me being with narcissists, just not understanding that they were narcissists. Once I understood that that was their common thread, because in all honesty, none of them knew each other, but they all had the same habits. And I didn't understand, how do I keep making the same mistake? I mean, I dated professional women, I dated just regular working women, I dated when I was in college, but it was all the same common thread. Here's the long and the short of it. I was groomed by a narcissist. That narcissist was my sister. I didn't realize that until 2020. But then understanding that, it was like, oh, the big revelation, the unveiling, if you will. That allowed me to make changes in my life And finally, after decades of blocking out, the sexual abuse I had to go through as a child, I was able to actually start healing. My whole concept of when I was in a relationship was to demonstrate how good of a person I was. And I did that with the expectation or hope that they would reciprocate in kind. But I was a giver and they were takers. And because I was always giving, I gave them no reason to have to change. No matter how much, discussion we had, no matter how much arguing or, expressing my feelings, like if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you can kiss your feelings goodbye. They care nothing about your feelings, only as it relates to them. If you're sad and you might not be able to do something that they need you to do, then they're going to care about your feelings just long enough to get what they want. But if they have no use for you, your feelings certainly have no use for them. That's the best way to describe my sister, who I tried for years to have a strong relationship with because we shared the same mother who passed away when we were both very young. However, she's a narcissist. I had to realize, just like with my sister, I had to realize this with my ex-girlfriend, the last one I had in America. Neither one cared about their children. If a parent doesn't care about their child, they're certainly not going to care about you. And I say this more about a mother than I would say it about a father. Men don't get the experience of feeling life grow within them. We don't feel the experience of giving birth. We don't feel the experience of suckling children. We don't have that. We'll never experience that. Being that close to your child, there's no closer connection than a mother and child. So to not care about something that precious a gift, and you only care about your children as far as they can get you the things you want, they're not going to care about a relationship. They're not going to care about the feelings of their partner in a relationship. They just won't. I mean, not even God could tolerate a narcissist. That's why the devil was cast out of heaven. So if he's not going to deal with it, we absolutely shouldn't. And that's just something we need to think about. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here because it's breakfast time where I'm at, and I'm going to eat breakfast. But I'm going to upload the video about Radiiantbritt by itself so you don't have to endure my live stream rant to hear the whole thing. I do want to say hello again to Lauren Savino and Irish Jazz and Freedom is Within You and 40 Ounces to Freedom and Teresa Terrymax and Violet Witch and Welsh Rose and BYTCH. I'm not going to say that full thing. Anyway, it's good to be back. As I'm still looking for the right streaming site, so that's why this restream trial offer thing is going on. Pay no attention to it, and I'll be making more videos too. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has a good day. I hope you stay blessed. I hope you make right choices. If you don't mind giving me a like and a thumbs up and post some comments, that'll be fine too. I wish you all good health, emotional wealth, and mental stability. And for those toxic people in the whatever that community is called now, I pray that you find the peace that you clearly desperately need in order to do more than just be hateful on YouTube. Everybody take care.